Hi guys, good evening. I'm Jain. I'm the city head of AccioJob in Bangalore. So today you all are here for a masterclass regarding resume and how to crack an interview. The job, like a face-to-face interview in the top tech company. So here the session is going to be taken care. The masterclass is going to be taken care by Abhijeet Jain. He's currently working in Airbnb as a senior software engineer, and he is like ex-Google and he is going to give you a brief idea about how to crack the interview, what are the tricks and tips you have to use for the face-to-face interview, as well as your resume building. So he's a big IIT alumni, and the session is going to be helpful for you in upcoming your interviews and everywhere. So without wasting much time, let me introduce Abhijeet, and he will give you the insight of all the things. So we'll welcome him with a warm heart like this one. Clap. Kindly welcome him.
Yeah. All right. Hi everyone. I hope I'm audible to everyone around here. Okay. All right. Yeah. No need to search. Just address me by name. So that's how everything works. Okay. And not much elder to any one of you. So yeah. So today we are here to have a I would prefer an interactive session. I don't want to give out a lecture like where you just listen and you don't understand anything. I hope you ask as many questions as possible. So the goal of this is to make you understand what kind of challenges that any other person face. Like I also face these challenges at some point. I learned them, I researched about them, and then I got to know from my seniors and everyone around there. So the main goal of this lecture, or you can say the session, is to make you understand what are the different aspects of getting placed in any company. I am not going to refer as a top tech company anymore. Reason being, like things have started to change. The landscape has changed because of AI and everything. The hiring bar has been changed entirely. So like now the things that were there, like let's say 5 years down the line, are not the same anymore. The kind of interviews, the kind of questions that are asked, the kind of expectations that people have these days has increased by multifolds. So like if you are planning to, let's say, get into tech today, I'm not going to be talking about much about packages, like what kind of pay are you targeting. Any particular pay, like any decent pay, like maybe it's 10, maybe it's 5, maybe it's 50, whatever it is. The standard of the interviews are almost essentially the same. There is an increase in difficulty, there is an increase in number of interviews at some point for sure, but the standard and the expectations have been increased quite a lot, and it's better that we stay prepared rather than going unprepared and then realizing that okay, I missed this opportunity because of something that I should have known already. So that is very important. Okay, so if any one of you has any questions, feel free to ask them at any point of time. I'm here to answer any of your questions. Okay, so I'll try to keep it as interactive as possible, and yeah, let me know if you have any questions at any point. Okay, so yeah, like like Bipin has already introduced me, so I'll just give a quick overview of who am I and why am I here. Okay, so I am Abhijeet Jain. I am presently working as a software engineer at Airbnb. I recently joined Airbnb like I would say a month back. So before Airbnb, I was working with Google, and before Google, I was working with a startup called Avamo. So that is what has been my journey so far in the past 3.5 to 4 years. So like that's my experience on the software side. I've done a couple of internships before that and my college time as well. But apart from that, the full-time experience comprises of these three companies. Okay. And yeah, before this session also, I have worked with AccioJob for quite a bit of time. I have taken a lot of lectures. There were the offline program has started recently, like Farley. But before that, it was online due to COVID and all the restrictions. So I was taking lectures there. I was teaching DSA in Java back then. So yeah, I have been through this process. I have taught a lot of students, and I hope most of them have got placed. So yeah, I hope you guys also got placed someday. So yeah, let's start. Any questions so far? Any doubts? Okay, great. All right. Okay, so like when you guys start applying to the tech jobs, like what is the first thing that you generally tend to prepare? I guess everybody knows here that's your resume. So your resume is your first entry point to any particular company you pick. Without resume, you'll not be able to apply. Without resume, you'll not be able to get into any particular tech job or in fact any job in these days. So your resume is very, very important. It needs to be precise. It needs to be very to the point, and it needs to deliver a message that you want to deliver. Like if your resume is not able to speak for itself, then that is where your application gets slashed. So it is very important that you guys make sure that your resume is to the point. It doesn't have any illogical things or anything that should not be present in a resume. Okay, so now what happens is, like, if you, let's say today, take a LinkedIn post and learn, when you see a opening, LinkedIn, I guess, is the most common place where everybody search for jobs. Then there's Naukri, then there's Insta, there are multiple platforms out there. But I believe LinkedIn is the first place that every particular tech professional goes, or any professional goes for the matter. Now, what happens is, whenever you see a job post, like if it's a big company, it's a famous company, let's say Google, Amazon, Microsoft, you'll see there are over 1,000 people click that job in within an hour itself. So there's definitely a lot of people applying out there. It's not like just I am applying or just you are applying today. It's like everybody wants a big tech job because, all the perks, all the pay and everything around there. So everybody aspire for that life. So everybody wants that job. But now, for these companies also, it is not possible to take interviews for everyone. I know that doesn't sound fair. Like, without talking to you, how can they decide that you are not eligible? Okay, that is something, it hurts everyone out there. Like, it hurted me for quite some time. But yeah, then you make peace with that, because that is how the industry works. So you don't have any other option out here that, okay, no, I will have a third route or some backdoor entry. That is not possible. It has a fixed guideline process. So it is very important that your resume is on the point. Now, you might have heard about a system called ATS. If you have not already heard about the system, it's mainly regarding your resume screening process. So even before a recruiter checks out your resume, so a recruiter is whoever is sourcing for that job. So a job post might have, like, say they want to have 5 people, or they might want to have just 1 post. So if it has 1,000 applications, it is not humanly possible for any recruiter. Now, even if you put yourself in those shoes, you will realize that, okay, I will not be reviewing 1,000 resumes. I just want 100 or maybe 10. Like, whatever is the shortest number possible, you want that. So that automated testing scenarios of the resume, that is very important for you to clear, so that your resume is at least seen by a recruiter. That is the first step to get into that particular phase. Like, I'm not talking about getting the job. I'm talking about getting that interview call, because the interview conversion becomes a little easier, because when you get selected from those particular pool, then now you have a lesser people to fight with. You have to attain a certain standard of interview for sure. But if you don't get into that particular phase, then there is no point of whatever you're prepping for. So it is very, very important that your resume is to the mark, and it is not just screaming of, like, coders anymore. Like, you might have seen a lot of posts these that, okay, Claude is automating or OpenAI is automating the code for you. It is automating to a certain extent. Okay, I'm not going to lie to you that no, it is not of any use or something like that. It is automating. The job is evolving, but that doesn't mean that the software engineers are going to go away. The software engineers need to be more proactive. Now, what was asked for us to ship in 1 month is asked in 1 week. So you have to be prepped for those. You have to be prepped for such kind of problem solvers. Like, okay, I know what the high level overview of this problem is. I know how to automate this task. So there are certain tasks which can be automated, and there are certain tasks which cannot be automated. So the part where it cannot be automated is your part for sure. And if the automation needs to be done, at that point also you need to make sure that you know how to automate it. That how part is very, very important. Reason being, most people fail there, because if you can't give proper instructions to AI, it will not work for you well. So you need to make sure that you know what kind of instructions to give. So those kind of problem solving, like, you should know what is your problem that you're solving. Let's say today I decided, like, I want to build a website for me. So I should know what kind of design I'm expecting, what kind of products it should list, what kind of payment integration it should have, what kind of details I want to add on to those. Because if I don't know those details, I cannot build a website. Even though I know coding, but I don't know the content of it. So there's no point of building a website. A simple HTML page is not that big of a deal. But when you have the correct set of content, when you know that there is a perfect UX which will make people glue to your site, that is where people get sold. So it is very, very important to make sure that you're not looking at just code part of things. You need to look at as a, what is the problem here and what is it that you're targeting to solve. Okay, any questions so far? And yeah, English is fine with everyone, right? Like, if anyone has any doubts there. Okay. Now, so what happens is, now once your resume clears the ATS, okay, then your recruiter takes a look at the resume. So whoever is the recruiter for that job, he will take a look at a resume. He'll look at the fine prints of the resume, like, what exactly are you building? Like, let's say if you're freshers out there, you might not have full-time experience for sure. That is quite obvious for the recruiter as well at the same point, like, you're fresh out of college. So what does he look for? He looks for the projects. He looks for the internship experience you might have. He looks for something that you have achieved, some certifications that you might have done. Certifications are becoming a little obsolete in some point of time. Reason being, people are now banking more on the skill set of things, because we know there are plenty of skills, like free courses out there which can give you a certification, give you a LinkedIn badge, and then you can put it in your resume. But that doesn't mean after some point, because you realize that you don't know anything. Because I also have done those courses, and then I realized there is no point of putting them in the resume. It is not going to get you anywhere. It's just that the skills that you learn, let's say if you write AWS today in your resume, AWS, I believe everybody here knows, Amazon Web Services. So that is your deployment and all the cloud storage, everything. That's the most famous out there apart from GCP. So if you are saying that you have AWS certification, but if you just write it for the namesake and you don't know anything about it, that is the biggest red flag. If you're writing something in your resume, you should know in and out about it. Like, let's say if tomorrow I make you stand up and ask you a question about it informally, you should be able to answer me that. Because if you're not able to do that, that means you lied on the first part of it. That is your first introduction that you're giving. And if you're lying on that, nobody's going to take you forward, because that is where the trust breaches for the company. So you have to make sure that whatever you write on your resume, you need to know in and out of it. You can't expect that, okay, I might be a little laggy on this one and I'll get away with it. You might get away with it. I'm not denying that some people might not point it out, but you might not get away with it. And that particular simple word might cost you that job. So it is very important that you know that, okay, whatever is happening, I'm making sure that, okay, I know everything about the resume. Okay. Any doubts? Okay. So like we'll be focusing first part of the session more on the resume side of things, and then we'll go towards interview. Okay. So like, and we'll try to discuss some questions and how you guys can think about those questions and everything. All right. So I believe every one of you guys are almost a final grad student or out of college. So I guess you know how the process works. What are the kind of things that will be asked in your interviews? Just the basics of it. I'm not expecting that you know you are the expert of things. All right. Okay. So yeah, as I already conveyed to you guys, every recruiter spends not more than, I would not say, let's say 6-8 seconds. If your resume is a bit impressive, that he got an eye struck on a particular point that, okay, he has done this much. Maybe it is a company, maybe it is a project, maybe it is one particular part of your project. If his eyes got stuck on your resume, there is it, there you got through the door. So that is very important that you have those points ready. Anything that is not relevant or it is not showing any kind of impact should not be present. Because if you try to fill the resume, like what people generally do is, like I also did that, personal opinion, that I was tending to fill up my resume with projects that were not making much sense, because I didn't had that much of full-time experience back then. I didn't have many internships back then. So I was trying to fill up with junk which were not making too much sense. But that costed me a lot of interviews, because when people asked me questions, I was not able to answer those, because the project was very easy, the project was very straightforward. Now today, if I write, like I build a YouTube clone, just the basic front end clone, everybody knows that you can build that. I can write just 2 prompts to AI and it will be able to do that. So those basic projects are far gone. 5 years back, that would have made much more impact. I was not able to build a YouTube clone back then, but yeah, now you can build it very easily, but there are plenty of AI tools out there. So you need to ensure that whatever you're writing on a resume delivers some kind of impact. Your education is the basics, your skills are the basics. But apart from that, your projects, your experiences, your summary. If you're writing a summary, that's well and good. If you don't write, that's fine. Okay. But if you are writing anything apart from your education and the basics, then you need to make sure it is delivering some kind of impact. It is showing some kind of skill from you, because you are not there to speak for you. Your resume is there to speak for you. You have to make sure that your resume speaks for itself. Okay. Any questions? All right. Okay. So how does your resume should look like? What should be your resume? What do you guys think that, okay, this should definitely not be a part of the resume, apart from what is written on the slide guys? That I know everyone can see, but yeah. What do you think is very important that, okay, you know, this should definitely not be a part of my resume and this should definitely be a part of your resume? Anyone? I believe everyone has built some basic resume while applying. So any idea what should definitely not be a part of resume? Yeah, that's one definitely. No hobbies, no personal things for sure. Apart from your email and number, nothing else. Like, are we talking about coding languages? No, yeah, the other, no, not needed. You're a software developer, your coding language speaks for itself, for sure. Okay. Anything else? Okay. All right. I'll add on to some points. Now, many of the templates that you see out there, they have a photo of you. In tech, photo is not permitted. That's the first thing that you should remove forever. Our college platform had that photo, but it later got removed because we started getting rejections automatically from ATS. So it is very important that you don't put a photo in there. Okay, because we are not salespeople, we are the back-end people. We have to code. So nobody's here to see your face. People are here to see what you can bring to the table. So it is very important you don't add photo. You don't add any like of the fancy UX kind of resumes. It should be a one pager, no two-page resumes, because I believe everyone in this room is under 5 of experience. Like when I started applying for Switch, I also had a 2-page resume, but then I realized that I am not worth 2 pages. It's just 1 page. So it is not possible for you to make it 2 page, because if you're making 2 page, that means you're showing that you have done some extraordinary work. If you have done that, please make it, because when you look at the higher level positions, they have those resumes. But when you look at the positions that are, let's say, 5, 7, 8 years of experience as well, only your 1 page resume is good enough. Because as you go along, more and more things start getting cut from your resume. You will have more of work experiences. You will have lesser of projects, because now your work experience speaks. If you have some extraordinary project that delivered, if you have founded some other side app or something like that, that should definitely be there. That is your entrepreneurial spirit. But apart from that, nothing that if anything that does not deliver impact should not be there. It should restrict to 1 page, and it should not be like, make a font 6 or 5 and just try to budget in. That is not correct. There is a standard font size that you need to follow, which is between 8 to 12 points, and a very standard font. Don't make it too fancy. Okay, because even if it is catches the eye, it will not clear the ATS, because it is a very standard protocol that it follows. So if you put too much of things here and there, that will cause you trouble. That will not clear your ATS. Okay. All right. Anything else? Any questions? Okay. So the kind of projects, all right, I was planning to come on to later on this, but yeah, if you have asked this question, let's take it. So projects that deliver an impact for you. Okay. Now, for example, like in my time, I built a compiler. So like we built a compiler from scratch that was doing certain operations when the computer boots up automatically. So those kind of compiler languages where you know that, okay, you have done something on the operating system side of things. So that delivers a message that, okay, you know the core systems of it. Now, if I go not more towards the core side of things, let's say if you built a website, which is the most basic part. Now in the website, what did you build? You need to specify that okay, I used XYZ databases to ensure that, okay, my latency is minimal. I'm not going beyond a latency point, and I'm able to deliver the content all around the world. So all those things should be there. If it is a very basic project that is, actively available on, you can say, GitHub or YouTube, where you can say, you see the tutorials and you can just type and see and code, that is not going to be worth it, because that is going to be there on tens of resumes. So that will not outshow you. Like, you will not outshine the other people there. Your project should outshine, and it should have a uniqueness with you. That is very important, because even when you have a guided project, that is fine. That is for learning perspective. But if you are putting that in the resume, that means you didn't put in enough effort to get another project out of it. That is very important. Like if you start with a basic loan, you can build some features on top of it that are personalized to you, that you think, okay, these are very important features for me. Because if you are an app user as well, then you need to make sure that, okay, I know how to use those apps. I know that, okay, in YouTube, I prefer, let's say that I want music's recommendation on top of it. Now it has appeared, but earlier it was not there. I wanted a specific music app. So you can build that kind of things. So that kind of personalization is very, very important. Okay. Does that answer the question? Yeah.
Is it good if we add, for example, we have published some papers, right? Do you think it will add value when we add?
Most definitely. Like published papers are big deals. Okay, like if you have published papers, if you have patents, okay, those are very rare in general. Like in my entire college, I guess 5 to 10 people in my batch had those. So if you have something on that, that's a big addition to your resume. That speaks a lot for itself. Because if you're, let's say, planning to go for an ML role or something like that, that speaks a lot, because now you have some published research, you are already indulged in the research. So that gives that value that, okay, you are a research person, you like to research more, you like to add some value to the community as well as the open source. That is very, very good addition. If you have that, make sure to add that resume for sure. Any other questions? Okay. All right. Moving on. All right. Okay. Now, when you add your project, or when you add your work ex. It can be an internship experience as well. Please feel free to add those experience. Those are important. Those will give you an edge. The internship experience landed me my first job. I didn't join that company unfortunately, but yeah, that gave me my first job for sure. So it is very important for you to make sure that whatever internships you have, whatever projects that you have done, good projects have you done, you write those, and you write those in a very explainable format. Now, understand this point that you are here to sell yourself. So you need to deliver the impact. You need to show them that what kind of impact you have delivered through this. That is very, very important. So if you don't show the impact, they will not realize. They will see it's a very basic project. Everyone can build it. That is not going to make you out, outshine you from other folks in the pool. So this is a very, baseline. Okay, I'm not going to say that, okay, this is the gold standard of it. This is a very good example of what to do and what not to do. Okay, now if you just say that I built a web app for library, or if I built a YouTube clone, I built a Netflix clone, I built a Spotify clone, those are very common these days. They will not help you, grab any kind of attention from any particular person. Even if you talk to a particular recruiter, he will say this is not something that I look for. Maybe he looks for companies, maybe he looks for brand value that you have added, maybe he looks for the impact that you've delivered. So, like the first example, that is accomplished X as measured by doing Z. So basically, let's say I was able to achieve the latency by measuring it through like metrics, by reducing the amount of database calls. That's a very basic one. Like you can say like, okay, I reduced my latency of search by 200 milliseconds. That's a huge impact, because when you look at 200 milliseconds, it sounds small, but when you look at scale of million users, 10 million users, it delivers a huge impact. So when those numbers are highlighted, those grab attention for sure, always. So if you have something related to those numbers, don't falsify. Okay, first thing I always say, never lie on the resume. That is your gold standard. Whatever you have done, be honest about it, but try to form it in an impressive way. Now we have writing tools, we have chat GPT, everybody can form good statements, but try to make it more personalized. It should not be written that he copy paste karke laga diya hai kisi ne. Because see, we as a people also know how to read and what kind of language that you will write in general. Like nobody can write that fancy Shakespeare language out there. If you're writing that, it will be seen for sure that this is an automated generated resume from ChatGPT. Whatever you have done, you added, and it will fancy way out of it. And that is, it used to land people jobs earlier, but no more, because now people started detecting those as well. So you need to make sure that you have that originality factor in your resume. Okay, and the elite version again. So that has even more details. That has like what is it that you have done, what kind of tech stack you use, what is the technology that you use, what are the management systems that you use. So this is, if you have this kind of point, that's great. Okay, and you can try to bold as well. Like bold certain numbers, don't bold out the entire resume. Like when you build your resume, you can bold those numbers, like 30% should be bold, so that catches an eye. Because if your entire resume is in normal font and that 30% is bolded, that highlights. So anybody who picks up your resume will grab an attention to that. So that is very important, that you bold the right set of things rather than doing it everything. Sorry. Okay. Any questions? Yeah.
Is it good to mention the project in a paragraph or point?
Like each project can have multiple points. So like a project is your headline. So if the project is not published, your first primary goal should be to publish the project. It should be publicly available. Like if you are sending me your resume, how will I see what you have built? You can lie as well. So you need to make sure that you mention that GitHub link. That is your gold standard. Like if anyone can see the project, go and see and experience it, that's your best proof of work. So you can add that work. And if your project is big, see, you have small and big projects both. If your project is huge, where you have built multiple things, you have handled multiple things, then you can definitely add multiple pointers. But don't make it too big that, okay, I want to explain everything that I've done, each feature I've added. Don't explain that. Try to merge it, what is important, what is difficult, what delivers the impact. Okay, any questions anymore?
So minimum, how many number of projects you can make?
See, there is no minimum number, I would say. Okay, but I would not recommend adding more than 4 or 5 projects. Like if you have experience, definitely add that. If you don't have experience and you're banking more on the project side of things, maybe 3 to 4 projects. Your resume should not be overly filled with one small project, one line, one small project. If you have 3 4 very impactful projects, please add that. That will add value, because I know that your resume should not look empty, but it should not be of any kind of, things that don't make sense. So there is no fixed number, I would say, in my mind, but each project should be good enough for itself. Like if you can talk about a project for 20 minutes in an interview, that is worth adding. If you are not able to talk about a project for, let's say, 2 minutes also, that is not worth adding, because that means there is not enough to say about that project. And if you don't have enough to say, that means there is no impact delivered there. So the inferences are that if you are able to speak for the project for, let's say, 10 to 15 minutes, if you're able to explain the interview, if you're able to cross question, if you're able to answer those questions, that is worth it. I hope that answers the question. Anything else anyone has? Okay. All right. So now coming to the project section. Now, in this, I would suggest, okay, the main part is why over what. The first point that we have added here is that for the same reason being, like, why did you build this rather than what did you build? Because why always answers the question about your reasoning. Why did you pick up the problem? Why did you want to solve this problem? What was it creating? What is the friction it was creating for you? What is the friction it was creating for other developers or some other people, maybe sales people, maybe marketing people, any particular tool that you built? It can be very small tool as well. Like, there was one tool that we earlier built that was for email automation replies. So in general, you have those congratulations and welcome emails in a company. So you tend to get bored to reply those once there are too much spams. But it is, I would say, a bit rude if you don't reply to those. If someone is joining your team and you're not replying to those, that's a bit rude. So it is good that we created a tool where we just made a sample response that, okay, this is what we will reply. We have a name mentioned and it will automatically send the mail. So this is a very basic, small tool, not very fancy, database and everything, but that delivered certain kind of impact. So that is important. So that way you are able to say that, okay, why did I build this tool? Because it was wasting 20 minutes of my day every day. Or you can build an email categorization. That is very common. Like you also might have a lot of spam emails coming to you, like Myntra, Amazon, Flipkart. Every day people get these emails. Even though Gmail has a default section, it doesn't get categorized that easily. So you can write some SQL queries there. That's a good project. That's another example of good project. Okay. And yeah, the GitHub quality rule. The third one again is very important. If you can publish your project somewhere, if you can make sure that, okay, you are able to deliver and you are able to showcase what you have built, that is the gold standard. You will be able to deliver more rather than, nobody will read between the lines if it is published somewhere. That you can check out the project here, that is it. If someone redirects, if someone clicks your link there, that means that is it. You have delivered the impact, and if he's impressed, that means you are in for sure. There's no question about that. Like, that is the best thing, that is the best proof of work that you can give, because that way everybody knows that, okay, you have built this because you have your tagline there. That's very important. Okay. And now the trade-offs bullet. This is something, okay, that's very good to add, but not every project has these. Okay, in certain projects you have obvious choices that you have to make. Like, okay, you will build, let's say, a MERN stack application. You will choose a SQL for simplicity, that, okay, I don't have very large scale queries coming in, so I will take a very simple project. I'll not deliver much, so I don't want to do a trade-off kind of thing. But if you have a very complicated projects, it's good to add, why did you take this particular tech stack rather than this? Why did you deploy on AWS rather than GCP? Why was it using Postman APIs rather than internal APIs? These are the kind of things that will help you stand out the projects. And now again, the project should not be a one single paragraph. Like, I'm not here to read that entire paragraph. It should be bullet points that, okay, first point, I built this which delivered XYZ impact, which this I used XYZ with the help of this, which reduced my latency. So each line should have certain kind of impact, because if you have a para that does not deliver, I would like on my personal opinion, I never write more than 2 lines. If you have 2 full stops, that's it, that's the bullet point. Go to next. Never write more than those 2 bullet points, because it becomes too large of a point, and then people will not read it entirely. People will just look at the bold pointers, that, okay, high level overview, and nobody will read the entire part, because in the second part you might have the more impact delivered, but that will not be highlighted that much. So it is important to restrict the point length as well. Don't write very, very long paragraphs that, okay, I am writing 6 lines in one project and then I'm skipping to the next project. It's better to break those into 2 parts. Okay, any questions? No questions? Okay, great. Feel free to ask any dumb questions as well. Okay, I'm fine. I've been on that side, so it's not, no question is bad. Okay, even if when you go to a company, you have to ask those dumb questions to understand things. It is not like you are the god of knowledge and you know everything. It will never be like that in tech. You have to ask questions, so feel free. I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to help you at any point. Okay. All right. So this is something I already explained. Like, if something has a tutorial YouTube with 100K views and you're just building that, you're not adding your personalization, you're not adding your features to it, it is not going to make sense. It is not delivering impact, because if 100,000 people can build it, what is something unique that you have done? What is the uniqueness that you have added? That is not there. So this is very important, that you build something unique. Okay. And when you build a project, make sure that you are prepared well enough of your choices. Like, I'll ask you a question, you guys answer me. Okay, so I built a web app which is working very fine in India, but the moment my app goes in Australia, someone accesses from Australia, the deliverable is very slow. What might be the reason? This is an actual interview question for you guys. Yeah, that's one part of it. Apart from that, CDNs or content delivery networks that deliver your static images. But what about the dynamic URLs? If, let's say, I have a CDN there, but my still the APIs are slow, my network is slow, what might be the reason? Anyone? Take a random guesses. Think about it. Have you guys heard about servers? So let's say if my servers is situated in Bombay, so accessing it from Bangalore and accessing it from Australia, let's say Sydney, which one will be faster? Bangalore, because of the distance. Latency time will not be that big of a difference. Like, it might be 200 milliseconds, which is very high. I'm saying you that. Okay, it might be 30, 40 milliseconds, but that is another bottleneck. Because if you are hitting everywhere from one server, then the distance also matters. Then the number of queries also increases a bit. So now your server is getting overloaded. So this is the kind of question that you might get. That, okay, you build this product. Now let's say if I access from Australia and the content is coming slow, how would you fasten it? This is the kind of questions you can expect from your resume round. A resume round is something that usually happens these days in many companies, where they grill you on your resume. It's a 1 hour round on entirely on your resume, where a manager comes, he checks out your resume, he asks you what is the most impactful project you have delivered, what is the impact that you did, what are the challenges you faced, were there any conflicts with your teammates, what would you have done different after completing that project, what do you think would be done different so that it could be delivered faster or better. So these are very, very basic questions that get asked, and you should be prepped for these, because resume is something that is your selling point. You know it better than me. If you are giving me your resume, you know it better than me. So you need to know, if I ask you some question, you should be able to justify with your answer that, okay, you have a very good detailed explanation available for that. So that is very, very important throughout your resume reviews. Okay, am I making sense? Any questions? Okay. Now comes the money question. Okay. Now, if it's a tooling, if it's something like a website, or is it something like, you built a financial planner where, you put your salary and then it divides how you should invest and based on your current debts and everything. Now, with the kind of tool that you built, would you be willing to pay 100 rupees, or let's say 50 rupees, or maybe let's say 1,000 rupees, whatever you charge in mind? See, I am not the one to charge you, so it is up to you. Like, will you be willing to pay for that tool? See, we as Indians, we don't prefer to pay very easily. I know for a fact. Okay, we tend to get those free services. Jitta ho sake, we'll try to get those free services as quickly as possible. But if you are charging a tool, software is all about pricing. It's all about getting money out of consumer. You can't just run ads and make money. You have to have some kind of pricing. Like ChatGPT also has now ads, it has subscriptions. So will anyone be willing to pay for those subscriptions? Will your product is worth charging for? That is a very, very important question. If it is there, if you believe that, okay, I will pay, or your friend will come and pay 100 rupees per month for you, that means you have delivered a great product out there. Okay, all right. Okay, so yeah, anyway, we had our first resume part of things. All right, so now I believe some of you might have your resumes. Okay, so let's keep an informal round. Okay, not here to criticize or anyone like that. Okay, Bipin will be sharing a drive link. Feel free to upload your resumes. We'll take at a look at a couple of them. We'll see what is it that is going on. Okay, no need to criticize. No need to be worried that okay, I'm here to shame or anything like that. It's not going to happen. So don't worry about those things. But yeah, it's a good open discussion that I want to do with you guys so that you also understand on real life scenario. Theoretical is one perspective, but practical is another. Okay. So yeah, take your time. Okay.
Guys, I think everyone has joined the WhatsApp group. I have already shared the drive link there. Kindly share. I think some of them have not joined the WhatsApp group. I can see that. Please join the WhatsApp group. Whoever is not joined, kindly raise your hand and upload your details there. And if anyone is facing any difficulty, please let me know. Yes. They are not joined. Yeah. I've just reshared the link. You guys have uploaded, just let me know. Is anyone is facing any issues? If you are facing internet issue, you can connect to our Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi name and password is written there. Stand. Done? Done, guys? Okay. So in this break, I will give you a brief introduction about the AccioJob and what we are doing here and all. So, does anyone here came for the drive and all before? You guys? Anyone? Okay. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I can count them. So they knows like we used to conduct the hiring drives also. As like in Bangalore, which is a new center for us, we used to conduct hiring drive as well as we used to train the students and place them. Previously, we used to do only the online training and other things. As Bangalore is a new thing, now we are coming with the offline also. Offline classes and all, like Abhijeet, like other people, like there are many instructors who is currently working in a top tech companies are going to come and teach you about the current project, current assessment and everything. Okay, so I will give a brief introduction about AccioJob. What is AccioJob first? As I am the city head, I told you before also, I am going to handle entire Bangalore market and the Karnataka market. So AccioJob is founded by 4 of the Delhi alumni. You can see all the founders here. So Yashwardhan is a CEO, he is a main founder. 2018 the company got founded, and 2023 we have started our first center in Noida. And the same year we got the best startup by LinkedIn in India, and also we are backed with the Y Combinators. We are mainly into the training and placements. Like we are here to give you the n number of opportunity, and you need to develop your skills and you need to work on your skills. And if you are good at the same, you can get a dream job in the top tech companies. There only we I find out this is the one of the major gap in the market, that graduate students are not able to get the best companies. Sending a student to the companies and all, we need minimum skill set. So for that only, we used to first see the shortlisting process. The people who come here for the hiring drives and all, they knows they need to come and write an exam, they need to cross a cutoff mark, then only we are going to send the student to the company. So here, like AccioJob is like now in India, we are in the 5 cities. Like which are the 5 cities? August 18th, and even the October 1st, the Chennai Center also opened, and we are working fine, and we are working very good here. Even Chennai Center, we have started with the offline batch only. Bangalore, now we are going to start it in now. Okay, so what all the courses we all used to offer is like full stack development and data analysis and data science. In that full stack only, Merck full stack, Java full stack, We used to provide, we used to rigorously train the students, we used to make them placement ready. It's not like only we are going to train you in the coding thing. We used to train you in the resume build-up part. We used to train you in the mock interviews and everything. So we will make you prepare for the jobs. Okay, that's the one thing. And next thing is, as I told you, like we have conducted some good drives. Like in last 3 months, we have pan India level, we have conducted more than 30 drives. In that, we have a very good percentage of people who placed it, like 200 plus students are placed, all are from AccioJob students only. There are some good students are like, for example, we used to conduct drives in the Bangalore center. I will tell you a brief example. Like from last 18th of August, like the first drive was happened in 21st of August. From that till time, we have conducted multiple drives, more than 18 companies. You can take as a number of openings, minimum it will be 120 plus. Just think that how many students have been placed, come to our center and wrote the exams. And you can only just give me like prediction, or like you can suggest me how many you think. Around 120 plus opportunities are there. How many may have placed? Can anyone give me a, like, just give you a guess? 120 opportunities we came with. How many may have placed in Bangalore center? You can see now 200 plus placements happened in last 3 months. That all are like from AccioJob student mainly. The majority part, 90% of part is from AccioJob students only. So just think how many may have placed. Can you give me a like simple number? Only 120 opportunities are there. So how we can place 500 plus? So in that only, like 18 drives which I have conducted in Bangalore, how many you think that 120 openings are there? For example, Adobe Drive, I don't know how many have attended. Adobe were going to hire from us around 60 openings. And we have conducted a drive for around 1,500 to 2,000 students. And we have like shortlisted some good candidates, around like 500, 400 candidates, and shared to the Adobe. And how many you think from 60 students, how many may have placed? 30? Any other counts? Okay, 20. Anywhere? 60 opening for Adobe. We have sent around 400 students to the Adobe for the shortlisting candidate. In that, you think how many may have placed? Any more? Okay, I will only give you the count. It is 3. It is not like company is going to hire you. Company openings are there. But the number of students, shortlisted students also, all the 400 students got a company mail for the next round, technical round. In that only 70 students have gone for the next round. From the 70 itself, only 3 students have placed. There is a gap. There is a gap in the skill. There is a gap in the resume, because all that matters. Even resume also matters. And there is a gap in the face-to-face interview. What the question they are not able to answer. They are able to give the questions like coding and everything, but they are not able to explain. So this is the current stage. Even in Bangalore, I am not able to place the number of opportunity which I am receiving. Every drive, you can check every drive, minimum 1,200 students are able to come, and on average they are participating. Only less than 10% students are only going for the cutoff mark and going to the AA round. Okay, here in this drive, first we will do is like you will come, you write an exam, then you need to cross a cutoff mark. Then only you will go to the next round. Okay, so there 90% of students are not able to cross the cutoff mark. So is this about the syllabus? Is it about the skill? Right now, you people are having from the colleges. See, none of the colleges are looking the top company like colleges. Even I have done a drive in RV, MS Ramaya, Cambridge, like Dayanda Sagar, everywhere. The results are similar. If I am conducting for a drive for 100 people, only 3 or 4 people are only going for a shortlisting from the best of best colleges also. Okay, and then nowadays companies are not looking your college, not looking your degree and all. They want skill from you where they can hire you, they can make you work properly and get a best result. So the package is high. If you are looking for a best company at the best, which have a very good package, You need to work on your skills. You need to develop your skills. And then only like how this type of like as Abhijeet told, then only like so your resume building will come in the picture. How do you have the response will come in the picture. So this all the things you need to develop. From college, you cannot expect everything will be done from there because they have curriculum, they have a proper like curriculum to be followed and they need to be finished, then your exams. So they have a limited time. They will give you only 30 hours or 40 hours of training. That doesn't make any sense for the top companies. Okay, you need to be very good at DSA. So to develop your skills. So we will from next time and onwards. So when I will be coming here, conducting a drive, I can get some good candidates and send to the company and I can get placed. As I told you, like 18 drives I conducted and more than 120 openings are there. Only 12 students got placed. But the same thing, we are conducting multiple drive for AccioJob students also. Other than this drives you are seeing in AccioJob Center, that's only that 10% of drives we are publishing for the public. Rest 90% of jobs are running in AccioJob portal only. So there we are getting a very good placement record because why? We are going to train them properly. We are going to train them with all the questions, all like company, whatever requirement. And training also is done by from the industrial expert. Industrial expert in the sense, the people who are working in a company, like best company like a Google, Microsoft, they are going to come and teach you what is the current process, what is the current technique, what is the current things the companies are going to use. Okay. So, and AccioJob is one of the best companies where you can go for a complete placement solution. We will train you, we will place you in the best company. But one thing we required from you is your entire 110% of effort. See, none of them can train you if you are not putting your effort. Okay. So next thing is like as like you can think like why AccioJob are doing this many multiple drives. Like we have multiple like 500 plus companies partnership. So any openings are coming in this company, they used to share with us. We used to conduct a hiring drive for them. We used to send them shortlisted candidates. So and before that also, we are when sending the shortlisted candidate, we will make sure this is the best candidate we can send. They will have a particular knowledge of all the things. Okay. I won't take much time as this is the student list. You can see that from last 3 months, whatever the drive we have conducted, this is all the AccioJob students who got placed in the different companies with the package, everything. Even you can get the same details from our portal also. If you go there, whatever drives we have conducted and who all are placed from our AccioJob, and you can get in and their LinkedIn account, everything. You can connect with them through LinkedIn and you can ask your doubt also. How your journey was and how this got placed and all. Okay. So the main thing I just want to tell you people is next March 15th, we are starting our first batch. This is a special 30 batch, super 30 batch, and we the only 30 students only we are taking here. And this will help you to understand how to get the best jobs. And it is not like that, you have a money, you will come here, you will pay your, and you will get a seat. Nothing like that. First of all, you need to show your interest, and there should be a basic aptitude test will be there. No coding, nothing like that. We need to understand how much eager you are for learning. Actually, you are going to learn or not. What is your aptitude and what is your how your thinking capacity and all. It will be measured accordingly. We will place a short scholarship also. If you got a best mark, you will get higher scholarship. So that also we are planning. So here Vasant and Soil is here from our team. Once the masterclass is over, anyone want to know about how the process, what will be the process, how what another next steps and going to be for the super 30 batch, you can connect with them. We will be here. Even you can connect with me also. Okay. So without wasting much time, I will call Abhijeet so he can finish the section.
No, I see not many people have shared the resume. Are you guys not prepared with the resume or what's the case here? Not prepared yet, or not came prepared for that? Okay, there can be a resume review as well. Okay, all right. So, guys, again a disclaimer: I'm not here to offend anyone, or I'm not here to criticize on big levels कि इतना खराब है या बहुत अच्छा है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. ठीक है, it's not a job interview. It's just some tips, because when you see a live part of example, I'll show you my resume as well at the end, just to let you know that okay, this is what helped me land everywhere. So it's not like that like resumes don't work in general. Okay, or it's just like okay. So yeah, we'll start with some samples. Okay, I'm just taking out a random ticket. I'm not too sure which one belongs to whom. Let me know if it's visible to everyone. Okay. All right. So yeah, I'm gonna hide the name. So yeah. All right, guys. One pro tip. Okay, always keep your experience on the top, because that is your field experience. That is where you showed a proof of work. If you don't have experience, put your projects on top. If you're putting education, that's fine. Or if you're putting skills, that's fine. One of the two. If you're putting both on top, that means the proof of works are going way down. That is going at the end of the resume, which is not a correct way to start off it. Whenever you put an experience on the top, that means, okay, this is where I worked, or this is what I worked on. So that delivers the impact right at the start of it. Because your information is fine, your basic contact details are fine. But apart from that, like what kind of skills you have, that comes later. What is the kind of work you delivered? Because skills, I can write endless skills today. Like I know C++, I know Python, I know Java, I know Rust, I know Ruby on Rails. I know these 5 languages, but doesn't make sense. It doesn't sell anything for me until I show my proof of work that this is what I delivered from by learning those tech stacks. That is what exactly matters to everyone. Okay, so that's one key point, whoever this resume belongs to. Okay, all right. Certifications, this is fine. Okay, if you really have a very empty resume, then it is fine. But if you really have some more deliverable content, better to skip certifications of languages. Okay, they will not justify to a certain extent, because now we are in the era of an AI where learning the syntax doesn't matter anymore. If you have worked in C++ and you are applying for a Java job, nobody's going to call you and say, why did you apply here? In any big tech org, it is always written in a JD that, okay, you should know one programming language. They don't care which one. Nobody cares if you know C++ or Python or Java or Rust or Ruby or JavaScript. Nobody cares. All they care is, do you know how to code? Because if you know how to code, if you know how to solve the problem, syntax never becomes an issue. Syntax is just a means of writing. Like, you know how to speak English, you know how to speak Hindi, right? So similarly, you know how to write code. That is important. You know how to build a logic. You should know what are the data structures. Learning the data structures is the important part. But if you don't know the data structure, that is the red flag. You should know the data structures. Learning 10 languages will not justify anything. Getting 10 language justification courses will not get you anywhere. So better focus on some more meaningful certifications. Like, there is an AWS course that is a paid one. Okay, that's an expensive course for sure. Like, not that expensive, but like if you really are into AWS deployments or SRE works, okay, that is a good way to start the learning. But why it is taken seriously? Because people know it is not free of charge. It is not that easy to obtain. There are people getting failed in that course. You have to give a proper test to clear it. So that increases the credibility of the certification. So it is important to put certifications that have credibility, rather than putting like a Coursera course. Like, we know that Coursera and Google Office free courses out there. We all know that. You can take any course. You can just play a Netflix movie in the background and just skip through the course. I know that everybody does that, but that is not going to deliver an impact for you. Okay, because that is something everybody does, and we also know, you also know that you have not learned anything from it. If you're learning something from it, that's great, put it there. But if you know in your heart that you have not learned something from it, and now if I come and ask you a question on that and you just go blank, that's the biggest red flag there. That, okay, you put a certification that I have achieved XYZ certification and you're not able to justify it. You don't have the knowledge or the background for that justification. Okay. All right. Let's take. Okay, I'm not sure. Okay. I guess the Darshan uploaded 2 resumes, right? Yeah. Mind if I ask which one to pick? The second one? Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So yeah, again, same suggestions. Don't put too many skills. Okay. Don't put too many skills which will, make me believe that you are writing too much and there is a lot of bluffing here. Okay, because nobody can know. Like I would, if I today write ML, neural network, AI, and then I write LLMs, then I write, okay, I know backend, I know front end. So if you are a whole in one person, then that is not humanly possible. There is a language bandwidth, and at our experience, that is not even believable. If I write this much today, I will get rejected personally. I can bet on that. You just have to write 5, 6 skills important that you can bet on it, that okay, I can do this left and right without any single question asked. Okay, so it is very important. Be truthful about yourself. Just don't write for the namesake. Okay, that this is a famous skill going on in these days, this will help me land the interview. It might help. Okay, I'm not denying it. It might help you get through the door, but the moment you go through the door, there is another interview coming up for you. So you need to be prepped that okay, even if I get through, I'm able to answer the questions well enough, because the person who is sitting on the other side, he might have a well defined knowledge band of that. Because if someone is working in ML, he will know in and out of it. So he will ask you questions, he'll grill you on that. And if you're not able to answer them well enough, you're not able to justify the responses, if you're not able to reason the responses, that means there goes your opportunity for sure. So that's why I said at the beginning also, well, be truthful about your resume. Be write only those things that you can believe and say ki I know in and out. If you have me work on this today, I will be able to do the work. I have no questions asked from you. I don't need any help. Like, okay, figuring out the document and asking the questions is one part of the thing, but you don't want technical details. You don't want to ask technical questions. Key, how does ML work, or how does RAG work, or how does a backend API gets connected to a front end? If you just go and ask this question, the other developer will think, what has he learned? How did he even land the job? Because if you're coming for a backend dev role, you should know what an API is. You should know what databases are. How do they interact with them? I'm not talking about like, okay, you need to know that particular language, but if you know the high level working of this, you can figure out a way to get it in the syntax. That is never a trouble. Syntax is always fine. Syntax now, we are like in the past years, it has become even more redundant. Like syntax, nobody cares if you know or not. What people care generally is that you know how to build. That is why it is important that you learn one language, master it, you learn each and every concept of that. It is not relevant anymore that okay, if I have 5, 6 languages, if I have projects in 6 languages, that is going to outshine the building. No, doesn't work like that. And that is true for most of the companies out there. I'm not going to say all of them, because there are still certain jobs where it is asked that a PHP developer is asked, or a .NET developer is asked, but that is just 5% of the jobs. The other 95%, they are expecting a generic skill set where you have the can-do attitude, that if you come tomorrow to the job, you will say, I can do it. I will take, instead of 1 day, I'll take 2 days. That is fine. That is acceptable at start, because you are new to the company, you're new to the job. But if you will say tomorrow and come to me and say that, okay, sir, I don't know how to do this, I don't know how to install GitHub, I don't know how to install PR, then I am done there. That I am done, like, please, I'll let my manager know that please handle him, I can't handle that. Because I've done that, because there are people that I've encountered that way. And that sets me off, because if you can't figure out those basics, how will you figure out the complications of the project? I cannot handhold you throughout the job, because I also have a job to perform. It's not just my job to, I can mentor you, I can guide you at some point that, okay, refer these documentation. But if you start asking me all those basic questions again and again, I will be pushed that, okay, let me hand it over to the manager, he will handle you. That is very important. Okay. All right. Let's take one more and then we'll move on. Okay. Again, now in this, let's take the achievement hackathons. Okay. Now, too many of these, not needed. Okay, and don't divide your resume into 2 sections like this. It is important that you make it flow in one section. That is the gold standard in general. If you go to, let's say, Overleaf, that's the very standard platform out there. So Overleaf has a very major template called Fang template. Okay, that's a very standard templating language where you have your experience, then you have a summary, then you have your work ex, then you have your projects, then your skills, and then the last part is your education. So you can move around in those, that is fine. That is not going to cause you trouble. But that gives a very structured look to your resume. Because this kind of resume is something that is very uncommon in tech. I would not say it is not there in tech, but it is generally uncommon in tech. Okay. So I would suggest go for that kind of resume, because what in general, why we take these resumes when you don't have huge enough pointers here. Because if you don't have those huge enough pointers, then your resume looks short. that, okay, my work X, I only have 1 point and a single line point. I'm not able to deliver a multi-line point as well. I'm not able to state that kind of impact out there. So that is a red flag out there. If you have, let's say, a 3-line point here, then you can obviously fill 2 lines in the full page for sure. So that is why it is important that your points deliver the impact. That is why I said it first time, don't just try to fill in the resume for the sake of filling it. Because if you write junk, that it goes in the recycle bin for the recruiter. Very simple. Okay. Now coming to the hackathons part of it. Okay. Now CP ratings are good. That's a very good thing to add. But make sure if you are adding a CP rating, if you're adding let's say code forces or a lead code rating or a code chef rating, and the ad code, these are the, I guess, 3-4 platforms that I generally practice on. There will be more out there. Okay. Now, if you're adding those, make sure that they are of an upper hand. Like if you write, let's say today 1100 on code forces, that doesn't make any sense. That will not make any sense. I never wrote my code forces rating because I was bad at it initially. So I never mentioned it because I knew I was bad at it. So there is nothing to boast about it. I was a 1500, 1400 guy. So I never did that because of the same reason ki it's nothing to boast about. I can't come and say कि I'm a 1400 because I know there are people out there who's 2000. I have a friend who was the international grandmaster. So I knew I have not done anything that is, stand out or something like that. So if something is making you stand out, that is good to add. Like in code forces, the golden standard is generally like expert or candid master, which is very difficult to achieve in general if you're not using or if you're not cheating. Okay. I have seen people cheat a lot in this just to, make your resume highlight. But when you go to the interview, they will ask you a code versus question and then you blank out. That's that. So it is important that you are truthful to yourself because CPs help you teach DSA in a way that no other platform can teach ever. Because CP is something, it is less on the DSA side, it is more on the problem solving side, it is more on the math side of things. So if any of you guys are into CP, make sure it is going to take a toll on your body, on your mind, on your mental health as well at some point. Okay, because it takes time to grow there. It is not that simple of a deal that, okay, I decide today and within 2 days I will be able to crack. No, doesn't work like that. Okay. All right. Yeah. And apart from that, if you have won any hackathon, okay, if you are, let's say, if you delivered an impact that was mentioned, that was, an honorable mention that, okay, this guy delivered something great, that is worth mentioning. Okay. But this comes at a below priority. If you have a work X, if you have a project, make sure to add that. Okay. Anyone has any questions so far? No questions?
So you mentioned in the sales, it is necessary to mention like only machine learning or compared pandas as I mentioned in the languages,
You can just see, like, this is the way to fill up the space. Okay, when you have an empty space to fill up, that is when you figure out a way that, okay, how should I split lines? How should I make a point just 2 words extra so that it goes in the next line? Okay, but those empty spaces are always spotted. Okay, a recruiter is a very smart guy. Okay, he is recruiting for a big tech company, he is recruiting for a 60 LPA job today. So he is going to be a very smart. We cannot outsmart that. Okay, you can outsmart ATS for sure. Like we know there is a way that, okay, you just put it in a white font, a skill that you don't know just to get through the door. But the moment a recruiter sees it and he does not see that skill, he knows it's a red flag. So you're out there. So that is very important that you're truthful, and at some point don't put just for the sake of filling the resume. Even if your resume is empty, that is fine. But at least it should not be like a half-page resume. Make it at least a 3/4 page. You should have enough stuff to put there. If you don't have, that means you need to do more projects. You need to do a couple of more complicated projects that can help you fill up the resume in a good manner. It should not be a forced filling. It should be a filling where it is a meaningful way. It is delivering impact. It is showing that, okay, you can sell something at some point. Okay. Anything else?
So let's say if I have an internship on AML, but I'm applying for Java development. So do you think it's necessary to put my AML internship experience in the resume for Java?
Okay. So any kind of work-X is better than no work-X. Okay, let me phrase it this way. So let's say if you have 3-4 work-X and now your resume is going 2-pager and now you realize that, okay, this work-X is not related to this job, then you can remove that work-X. But if you don't have enough work experience, that is what generally is there with every fresh graduate out there. Like you cannot have 5 work experience. That is like a god standard. Okay, I had just 1 experience. in my resume during my college time. So when you have that one resume, you have to keep it. My first one was non-technical, even though I had to keep that because that showed that okay, I did not do actual coding, but I still did some projects. So some kind of work experience is better than nothing. Second part, now if you are applying for, let's say, AI, ML and backend, those are very different fields again. Let's say, even though they're different fields, but still you're solving problems. In AI, ML also you're coding something. But if you're applying for a backend job, if you have a backend experience, put it on top rather than the AI, ML one. So that way you can say that, okay, this is my topmost priority right now, that I want to switch to backend side of things. There is no harm in putting AI, ML experience because that shows that you have delivered something. You have worked on certain real life projects, real work, and your work speak for itself. Like when you work on a real life project, that's the best way to showcase your work. That is the best proof of concept that you can give out there. Doesn't matter, because what happens is there is a growing trend that now people from like some people want to switch from back end to front end or front end to back end, and now the most growing role is the AI engineer, that okay, I want to go from back end to AI engineer. So even those people are applying for those. They are working right on back end, but they want to go in AI engineer. So, but still, they will have to mention the back end role because they have to. There is no other option because that is your proof of work that you have done there. So that is why it is important that you mention all of it. If it is something that you feel that delivers an impact for you, make sure to add that. Okay. Any other questions? Yeah.
Can we add current ongoing internships in the experience?
Definitely. Most definitely. Like, okay, like if you have joined, let's say, a week back like me, I will not add Airbnb in my resume right now. Okay. I'm being honest with you right now because I don't have any work to showcase. Okay. If you're adding something, that means you have done something there. All right. Like if you're just week into the internship, adding that doesn't make any kind of sense. But let's say if you're a month or a month and a half into that internship, then you will say, okay, I have done one project, I've delivered something, I can write that. You'll write that definitely, that you're currently working. That showcase that, okay, you are already in the industry. That gives you an upper hand on those. Okay, because in our placements, what happened is the folks who had done internship got more visibility than the folks who didn't. Like the folks who got an internship from on campus, there were folks who didn't get internships from on campus. I was one of those. Then I got an internship by luck, and by some means I got an internship off campus. But the person who had an internship of Microsoft got more visibility. He got shortlisted in Google. I didn't get shortlisted in Google in my college time. So that was it. That is a part of the game you have to play. So it can happen there, but if you have something meaningful, make sure to add it. Okay. All right. Any other questions?
So according to the ATS,
Hmm.
a 2+ resume or a 2-column resume?
None. Just a single page resume. First point, and it's better to go in a structured format where you have a full column of project experience, because that way you can write more content, because this is getting you more white space, because now you have this in between column of extra white space and bullet points. That is unnecessary, because now you're wasting the space just to make sure that your resume is filled, which is an incorrect way to do it. Okay. Yeah. Any other questions? That actually depends on company to company basis. Okay. But anything below 70 is not good. Okay. Like I would suggest you to go for the highest score that is possible. All right. But beyond the point, you can't optimize it for ATS, because then it becomes obvious that you are optimizing it for ATS. But it should be in a healthy range where you can also see yourself in a mirror and say that, okay, yeah, I have built a good resume out there. So it's not a fixed range that, okay, like Amazon hires only about 85 or Google has only about 90. It is not like that. This data is not publicly available. It depends on the recruiter. It depends on the number of applications they got, and based on that, they screen the resumes slowly. So yeah, that's a very subjective question, and I can't answer that because I'm not there on that side of things. So yeah. Any other questions?
Adding to that, this is the best application to check ATS score. Like different ATS score provide different scores. Which is that?
See, like always check on 2-3 applications. That is what I personally did. Okay, I'm not a good person to say, okay, this is the best page to check your ATS score. You can check 2-3 tools. There are plenty of offline tools, and I believe everybody here has 2-3 emails, so you can just sign up and check your ATS score for free there. So like just check 2-3 scores. If it is going above 80, then yeah, okay, take it. That will get through the door for you. Okay, yeah. Anything else? All right. Okay. Now you can criticize me. Okay. So yeah, this is the kind of resume I have. Okay. Not that fancy, but yeah. See, like I also left some empty space in the background because I didn't had that kind of things. and I didn't want to add projects anymore because that didn't deliver value for me anymore. So it is not a very bad thing because this is the resume that got me into at large in an Airbnb. Okay, so it's not like this doesn't work and your white space is gonna blacklist you or something like that. This landed me everywhere. Okay, so there is no harm in keeping some white space out. I have 3.5 to 4 years of experience. Still, I have some empty spaces. I leave empty because I know that if I add shit content, it's gonna go. It's gonna go for sure. It's gonna get auto rejected. Okay, so yeah, like yeah. So I didn't add projects, to be honest, because the projects stopped delivering some kind of value for me that I did back then, and I didn't had any extravagant personal projects at some point of time. I was mainly involved with my work, and the work speak for itself. So yeah, like Google was the latest one. Before that, I was working with a startup called Avamo Technologies. You can Google it. It's situated in Koramangala right now. It's based out of SF. So we used to work with chatbots. So my first job was with Avamo full time. I got converted here. So that is what my resume looked like personally. All right. And I didn't add much skills there. Like whatever I knew that, okay, this is important, it is still refinable. I recently removed CSS and everything from the resume because it doesn't make sense anymore. Like nobody expects you HTML, CSS as something, deliverable skill anymore. People will say that, okay, this is dumb shit. Okay. All right. Any questions? Any suggestions on mine, please? All right. Okay. Hmm. After some point, your education is just your like whatever is your latest education is there. Like 10th, 12th is compulsory when you go for an on-campus job because they have a criteria there of shortlisting. Okay, but when you go for such external jobs, there is no criteria on CGPA, there is no criteria on college, or there is no criteria on 10, 12%. Like in general, I have not seen personally. There will be a few companies who will ask you that I want 95% in 10th and I want 95 in 12th, but that is like 1 or 2 in 1,000 probably. Like that is what my personal experience is in general. I'm not sure about hiring drive. Hiring drive Bipin can guide you more. I am not the correct person to ask that question, but yeah, like if you have some space, probably you can ask that. Okay. Before adding Google, I had one more intern below this. That was Noah Women. So I think not plenty of you might be aware. It's a women intimate care website. So I interned there for 3 months. So that was there. And apart from that, I had two projects. One where I built a compiler, and one where I worked with a ML professor. So those were the two projects I had before Google. Once Google came in, then I started feeling that, okay, now I'm not a web developer anymore. That feels redundant, that feels wrong to add. So I stopped adding that. Like, okay, now I might have contracted, like in the Avamo as well, I was kind of full stack web developer only. But there I was working with AIML as well, some point, like ML queries and everything. I was doing a vector DBs as well. Before AI came in, we were building chatbots. So it was a different experience altogether. So that's why I didn't want to remove, and it would have made my resume half blank. So I can't remove that now. So yes. All right. Any other questions? No, I am right now in a backend zone. Like, so backend technology is okay. Like I have been through different in each phase of my career. Like I started with Python at Abilitaire. Abilitaire is a US-based startup that was for healthcare, or you can say the making computers accessible for other people, like making computer accessible for disabled people, those who don't have hands or legs. They can just use the computer with their head movements. So that was the software that we were building there. Then at Nuva, I was mainly working with Vue.js. That was a more on the front-end side of intern. At Avamo, it was more on Ruby on Rails, and front-end side was JavaScript, then ML side was Python. It was a 5-people tech team, so we didn't have a defined job role that, okay, you'll be back-end or front-end or anything like that. You do whatever you're given to do. That's it. No questions asked. And at Google, I was mainly working with C++, Java, and Python. So Google is very, open about languages. You will find each folder has a different language written. So you cannot restrict that, okay, I will work only in C++, I work only in Java. That is not possible. And yeah, now at Airbnb, we are mainly working in Java as of now. So frameworks, okay, I have not learned extensively. Okay, I've created a project in Spring Boot in some free times I had, but not exactly. I have like, I don't write Spring Boot in my resume at any point because I know I'm not a master of it. Okay, being very honest, because I know that I am not very extravagantly great and I've never worked it directly. I've worked on Ruby on Rails, so that is something I'm proud to write. But if something I've not worked, I'll never write it. That is my golden rule about anything in resume. If you know it in and out, then only write it, because tomorrow if someone questions you, then you are in trouble. So that's there. Yeah.
So I'm about to graduate like a year.
Okay.
Now that I see AI coming into all technically everything, and I'm from AI data science. What sort of role, like how has the companies changed after the AI has come into the picture? Is it still the same or?
Okay. So the hiring process is changing every day as we speak. Okay. You might have seen that the people are now getting called for face-to-face interviews, which was earlier virtually, entirely virtual. I'm not saying everyone is doing that. There are companies like Google is doing that, then Amazon is doing that. Then we have, if you're going on the analyst side of things, there are JP is also doing that. So they have started trusting more on the front face-to-face interviews because there are plenty of cheating tools out there. People just fake themselves. People just tend to use some tools just to cheat it out. But if you're in front face to face, you can't do that. Okay, that is one phase that has changed. Apart from that, the people are trying. Every company is trying different things. Like Meta recently introduced an AI-enabled interview, where they let you use AI in the live interview just to debug the session. So that is one more way of experimenting. People are experimenting because they don't know how the landscape is changing right now. One thing they can ensure just to avoid cheating is just to make sure that you have a face-to-face round. Because face-to-face, I am sitting in front of you, I can see your laptop continuously. I know you can't do anything there. Because in virtual, I don't know if someone is sitting on the third side or you're putting AirPods on there. I can't detect that at some point. So that is the reason F2F is becoming more and more common. People are getting called, companies are sponsoring your flights as well at some point, just to get you into that round, because they know if you are a good candidate and if you get converted, it's a very small expense for them. Like a 15K trip is, that doesn't matter to them too much. But if they get the wrong candidate in, that is a bigger expense because they are paying you 50 lakhs per annum today. So that becomes a bigger problem for them. So yeah. All right. Any other questions? Okay. All right. So yeah, if you have more questions, we'll have some Q&A at the end as well for resume regarding things. If you have more anything up like whatever you have discussed so far, feel free to ask me there. Okay. All right. Now GDs. This is where things get a lot more interesting. Okay. Because GDs is where now you are not the only guy fighting for it. Now there will be 3 people here standing in front of you and 10 of you fighting for that job. Okay. So that is the place where you need to prepare yourself, that you should not be speaking too much ki you will interrupt everyone, that whatever someone speak, I'll speak in between. That is a biggest red flag, because that means you don't want to hear the other person's point of view. You don't want to learn what he's trying to say. He might be saying a better point than you. I'm not saying that's always true. He might be saying a very, basic point that doesn't make any sense at some point as well. But that is a red flag for him. That is not a red flag for you. You need to let people finish. You need to structure your points, and you need to, speak with confidence. You should not stutter while, saying that, okay, I think that that is it. Wahin pe you are crossed. Because if you are speaking, that you need to be sure that what you want to speak. You should not be just speaking for the namesake of, you can say, screen time, that okay, I want to get noticed by people. If you are doing that, that means that you will be in trouble for sure. There is no doubt about it. So in GDs, it is very important that you learn from people's point. Okay, like I have taken I have given only 2-3 GDs in my life. Okay, so might not be the best person to answer this, but yeah, from whatever I have learned, there was a topic in which I didn't know anything. Like back then, system design, I didn't know much. So CDN came as a GD topic, and I didn't know much. But what I did is I just simply listened in the crowd. Like there were 10 people of us, so I listened 3 folks there, and I was able to devise a point out of that. I didn't know any knowledge about it, but you have to be smart. You have to be smart because people are sharing their point of view, so you can just combine a point out of it. So GDs are less about your technical expertise, more about your effective smartness and on point, answering things up. So it's not like you need to have extensive knowledge of everything. In most GDs, such kind of technical topics is not asked. It is very basic. In general, maybe sometimes they are just testing your speaking skills and your behavior skills as well. So in those kind of scenarios, they will not ask you such topics where you don't have any clue. But if you have some clue, make sure to structure the point well enough, because you don't have an extensive detail about anything. And you can't sit and Google there that, okay, what is this topic? What should I be speaking now? You can't just state facts out of nowhere and just Google it. You have to be prepared. You might not know any facts. You might know some facts. If you know something, make sure to prepare it in a structured way so that it delivers an impact for you. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so that is why, like, AccioJob also, I guess, provides the soft skills trainings here as well. So make sure that you are very fluent. Okay, you deliver your points with confidence. Okay, you have some speaking issues, that is fine, that is not a problem, that no company flags you for that. But if you don't have any problem, make sure that you're fluent, make sure you are making points in a structured way, and make sure that you're not switching languages in between while speaking. Okay, you need to be fluent in what you say, like, okay, because most of the interviews, they will ask you in English, that is a standard. But if you someplace, if you can go, you can try in Hindi as well, that is not going to be a problem. But yeah, like, you need to judge based on the region. Like, if some foreign guy comes in and you say I'll only give interview in Hindi, so it can't happen. Okay, so English is the gold standard, but if you are not that fluent, try to learn those technical terms that you need to say in English, just to make sure that you're fluent enough. Okay, any questions? Okay, just last tips on GDs. I'll not go too much into here because they are not that prominent in general. That is my personal experience. Okay, but hiring trends are changing, so you need to be prepped for these. But in GDs, you need to deliver points. You need to deliver points with confidence. You don't need to shout. You don't need to stay silent. You don't need to be blank, sitting blank and thinking, ki, what should I say in this conversation? Because that expression gives away. Your body language should be on point if it's a face-to-face GD. You need to be delivering with confidence. You should be dressed properly. All those things matter a lot. Okay, the kind of way you present yourself, the kind of way you deliver your speech, that is very, very important in GD. Okay, that makes sense? Any questions? Okay, moving on. Now comes the HR rounds. Okay, like, we are going to HR rounds. Some companies have HR rounds at start, some companies have HR rounds at the end. Okay, so in general, like, there is one thing called as recruiter round, and now these days in the most of the big companies, there's something called as values round. It might be a leadership round in Amazon, it might be a Googliness round at Google, it might be a behavior round at Airbnb, it might be some other kind of core values round. This round is becoming increasingly prominent in almost all the big companies out there. Like, the small starters might not take this round extensively, but they will still judge your behavior on the manager round side. So in the HR round, many good coders get rejected. Like, you have aced the DSA, you have aced the system design, you know everything on the technical part of things, but you don't know how to speak. You don't know how to deliver your point. You don't know how to deliver the impact that you have created. You don't know what you do in after your work, because this is something that gets asked these days. Like, apart from work, what are you? Who are you? They want to know you more as a person, that what kind of person am I bringing to the company. So that is why it is very important that you communicate confidently. You say something that is authentic to you. That is not common out there, that anyone comes and speaks for you, like, okay, I do this, I do that, I play basketball, I play badminton. This is common. But what is something that drives you apart from work? This is very common question that is recently being asked. Okay, that is something I personally encountered as well. So you need to have that kind of points in mind. Every person has something. Maybe you do some NGO work, maybe you like to travel, maybe you like to explore places, maybe you try to like to backpack, maybe you like to try different food cuisines. Very basic things. Okay, this is something that I believe everyone has some kind of taste. Okay, maybe you like to party, take it, but don't say just party. Just make sure that you frame it properly. Okay, all right. So in these rounds, it is more important that you go on the behavior side of things rather than technical, because your recruiter doesn't know Java, Mern, Spring Boot. He doesn't know that. Okay, your HR will not know what kind of NoSQL will help you improve the latency, or what kind of deployment strategy will help you scale the servers easily. He doesn't care about that. All he cares about is how are you as a person, how are you as a person to work with. Do you believe in teamwork? They will ask you contradictory questions like, you are working on a project and you have a conflict with your teammate. How do you handle it? What do you do to make sure it doesn't escalate? So these are the questions that HR asks you, because they are not caring about your technical. Technical rounds are separately there for a reason, because they don't want to test you on technical. They want to test you on the behavior side of things. Okay. So that is why it is important that your communication matters a lot. Okay, you need to portray yourself as a nice person, good person, just to ensure that okay, you have a decent selling point on your side as well, that okay, apart from coding, I am a very good person, I am engaging, I believe in teamwork, because nobody wants a one man company out there. Make sense? Any questions? Okay. Now, every interview, the first 5 minutes is where you can set the tone for that interview. Okay. The first 5 minutes, if you deliver an introduction that catches an eye for the interviewer, he will be active with you throughout the interview. That is a stated fact. Like if your introduction is very laggy, that okay, I am XYZ, I studied here, I know C++, that is it. Interviewer is dead. Assume that. You have to have a very impactful introduction where the interviewer gets intrigued and he might ask you a question that what did you do in this? Okay, like maybe add some project, maybe where are you working right now, maybe what do you do after work. He should be intrigued about what kind of person you are, because that creates an interest for the interviewer. Because if he loses interest, then even though there will be places, let's say you get stuck in the interview somewhere, technical people get stuck, which is very common. Like, and if interviewer is engaged with you, he might give you a very small hint that will crack the interview for you, because that hint is not going to impact your interview score, but that hint will make the interview score for you. So it is very important that you have that interviewer interaction regular, because if he doesn't get intrigued with you, if he is not interested in the interview anymore, that means half your interview is already done. Until you are a god coder or something like that, that you know questions in and out and you know that you can answer them confidently, there will be flaws that he'll point out, even though in a normal interview it might have not been pointed out. So this is something that is very common, and that's a basic psychology where if you want a person interested, you need to make sure that there is something interesting to tell him. That is why. Okay, any questions? All right, and this is not even first 5 minutes. I would suggest it's maximum 60 seconds each side. The interviewer gives a 30-second introduction, you will have 60 to 90 seconds at tops. So those 90 seconds, if you can't sell yourself, that means there is something wrong. There is something wrong. You need to go back home, you need to prep yourself again, and you need to come back. Because 90 seconds, if you can't speak about yourself that you're living a life of 26 years, that means there is something wrong for sure. There is no doubt about it. Okay, this is something that you can practice, this and you can recite, you can make sure you can mug up things up, that is fine. But you need to make sure that you deliver a good intro for sure. Okay, any questions? All right, moving out. Okay, now comes the technical part of things. Okay, the most feared rounds in general, I believe. Okay, behaviors, HRs, resumes, they can be prepped. We can teach you how to do that. But technical is where your ball game comes in. What you have done in life, how much you have practiced. Okay, because if you come and ask me, ki, sir, can I prepare in 1 month my entire DSM system design? I would say, please go back. Not possible. Honest opinion, it is not possible. Okay, you need to grind, you need to put in hours, it will take time, it will set you back a lot. It's not a very simple, like, a straight road journey where you just follow XYZ and you will run a job. It is never like that. It is a field where you need to put in a lot of effort. There will be lot of mental stress at some point, ki yaar ho hi nahi raha hai, I'm not able to crack it, interview nahi mil raha hai. There will be tens of things out there, but you need to keep doing it, because if you keep grinding, it will land your job. There are enough jobs out there. It is not like a job hi nahi hai, there is no job present in the market. Jobs are there, but the bar is getting higher each day. So like if 5 years back for a 6 LP or 10 LP job, the things you needed to do, the level has doubled. Now the things that we had to do for 20 LP job 5 years back is something that they expect for a 10 LP job. And there is no hidden truth behind that. It is going to get higher because the supply is endless. We know that engineering students are out there and everybody wants to get an IT at some point because it pays damn well. Okay, and it's a comfortable desk job. Okay, that is a myth. All right, but yeah, once you get in there, it is important that you first step the door. Okay, don't think too much about the pay, that when will I land 50 LP or when will I get into Google. People eventually do. No matter what your college is, no matter where you start, you will land there. But if you don't grind, don't expect. I'm being very clear. It is blunt. I know it's maybe sound rude, but that's the blunt truth. I don't want to give you false hope that okay, in 3 months I'll get you 50 LPA job. Not possible, man. Okay, being totally honest with you, it is not that simple. The industry is harsh. People are getting laid off left and right. People get laid off from everywhere. It's not like कि US में lay off होता है, India में नहीं होता है. That's not a true story. Indian people get shredded out. It's just that the news doesn't pop that much. Okay, so industry is brutal. Be prepared. You have to grind. It is not going to be a railroad ki theek hai, we just boarded a train and we'll just sail through the job. No, that's not going to happen. Okay, now coming to the technical communications part of it. Okay, so the first thing that you always need to ask, is the question complete? Is there any loophole in the question? Okay, now the clarity of the question matters a lot. If you don't ask clarifying questions, you might end up coding a wrong solution. Even though you could have coded the right solution, you will code a wrong solution and you will get rejected. So asking those right set of clear questions is very, very important. It might be on the constraint side of things. If you are not yet aware, I'll just give out a sample question and then we can think about it. Okay, I'll just discuss these pointers and then we can go about it. So first is clarity. Second is, if you are not sure about the optimal solution directly, there will be days where you will not have seen a question. You will just encounter कि यार ये क्या आ गया? What is this? I don't know anything about this. I have not seen anything related to this. It is better to give a brute force approach because that engages the interviewer consistently. Because you need to make sure that you're interacting with it. It is not an online test. A person is sitting with you. He's sitting there for a reason. You need to discuss. You need to think out loud. You need to tell him what you're thinking. You need to tell him the brute force approach. Then you can maybe think about that, okay, I'm thinking about this optimization. I am thinking that maybe, okay, I can maybe in square, I can make it in login. That is fine. Taking a brute force to optimization is fine. Nobody expects that you know instant optimization because that means you have seen the question. Okay. It is not going to reject you, but that means you have seen the question. In general, if you have seen a similar question, you will tend to go for optimal approach. But if you have not seen the question, brute force is the correct way. Brute force, then while thinking brute force, you will have a back of the head memory going on here. How can I optimize it more? Because I know कि n cube to expect नहीं करेगा. He'll maybe expect O of n or n square. So that is a good way. And the last part is, in some interviews, you will be asked to run the code. It is very, very important that the language that you're writing the code in should not have any kind of compilation errors. And if it has one or two compilation errors, fine. If it has tens or hundreds of compilation errors, that means you don't know how to write code and you have not practiced enough. Because those spelling mistakes, those semicolons, those indentation mistakes, they matter. Because in an interview in some companies, they will ask you to run the code and you need to be prepared that you are able to run the code with proper syntax. So that is very, very important. So you keep on dry running the approach. You make sure that, okay, there is not many mistakes in the code. One or two mistakes are usually acceptable. That is fine. That will decrease the rating, no doubt. In big techs, even if you make a single mistake of, let's say, compilation, a compilation error comes up, your strong hire might become a hire. That depends on the interviewer's mood, because his word is final. His words is always going to be greater against yours. You need to make sure that you understand the fact that he is at a better position right now to judge you. So he can make or break your game there. So you need to make sure that you don't give that kind of room for any kind of mistakes there. That is very, very important. Okay. All right. So let's take a sample now. We have discussed too much. Okay. This is a very, very simple problem. Okay. Now, okay. I hope this is visible to everyone. All right. So, what do you think is the general approach? How should you be approaching it? What are the clarifying questions that you should be asking? Anyone, whatever comes to your mind. Okay. Correct. That's the first one. Apart from that, arrays sorted or not, that will impact the complexity. Or will it not? That is my question. It will. Okay. What else? Okay. So here, this is already given. Notice that solution set must not contain duplicates. This will not be given to you in an actual interview. This is something that you need to ask, that can my solution contain duplicates? If they are not in a sorted order, is that a valid duplicate or not valid? Because I can just give, let's say, 101, 10 minus 1 and minus 101. I can say that these are different arrays because when you compare, they are not equal for sure. But is that something that is required out of it or not required out of it? So these kind of questions, these will not take too much of your time in the interview. This will take us 2 minutes, but this will give you the clarity that you need to solve the question at the end of the day. That is very, very important that you make sure to ask any question that comes to your mind. Don't ask too dumb questions, but any question that is going to impact your solution should be asked and should be clarified. You should not be assuming anything without discussing with the interviewer. Interviewer will give you that, okay, this is the assumption that you can take. Okay, in this solution, let's say you are not given any constraints right now. Now, if you will not ask me constraints, I'll not give you constraints because I don't know if you need it or not. You might be building the most optimized one, you don't need the constraints. Why would I give a constraint of, let's say, array size of 100? Because if I give an array size of 100, it becomes very simple problem because now you can do it in the n cube solution very easily because it's just 3 for loop solution. But if you ask me constraints, I will say, nahi, I want it, let's say the array length is 1000. So you will now need to optimize the solution to n square log. So that is where the things get interesting. So constraints are very important to be asked, the way you want to drive the solution. Now brute force solution, I already told you that, okay, 3 for loops and the question is solved. But then you will obviously ask me, sir, is there optimization possible? So that is the flow of the interview that you need to drive on. And whatever code you write, make sure that it works because you don't know if the interviewer will ask you to run it or not. Some interviews give the clarity at the start of the interview, some don't. So expect and go in the assumption that people will ask you to run the code. So you need to write that proper code. Pseudo codes are rare and pseudo codes are usually asked in the second question. Let's say if you have a first question you solved in 20-25 minutes, now he has 20 minutes to spare. So he'll ask you a second question for which he'll ask you a pseudo code to write. But yeah, the first code needs to be working. Your variables needs to be on point. You should not be writing temp, T1, T2, T3. No, not acceptable. The code should be of a production level. You need to make this as a habit. Okay, this is not going to happen overnight. This is not something you can assume ki I will go in the interview and do it. If you have a habit of writing bad variable names, you will do that same thing in the interview. Second point, and the most important, that try run the logic as you write the code. Like tell the interviewer why you are doing this. Why are you writing this for loop? Why are you placing this if condition? What is the sorting logic that you're doing? Because if you do that, now you don't have to spend the energy explaining the entire code once you have written. Because now the interviewer knows. Now, in this case, some interviewers might say, you just write the code and we'll discuss at the end. That is their choice. That is rare, but that can happen. So don't don't let you get a setback there. Because some interviewers believe that code chal raha, that is it. That is all I need. But some interviews like to engage. Some interviews like to make sure that, okay, you are going in right direction. Don't take the other person as your enemy. He is there as your friend. He is there to guide you if you are going wrong. But he will not be hand holding you. He will not be spoon feeding you the solution. You need to drive the conversation. That is very, very important. So that is why these things will not happen overnight. If you think today I will be able to do it tomorrow, that is not possible. You need to do this while practicing. What I personally did is I used to explain myself. I used to talk to myself. That sounds dumb right now, but that helps you a lot when you go for the interview. Because now you have the habit of explaining the logic. So it will not be something that you're awestruck that, okay, how do I explain this? Or why did I write this variable name? You know what to write, you know what to say. Because that improves your communication in the technical aspects as well. Because then you will know the technical terms. Because we think in mind how we are sorting or we are using, let's say, heap sort. Okay. So many people, I didn't know the heap sort term till my placement. So I didn't know the term, but when I started saying I am sorting and this is the algorithm behind this, then I got to know that, okay, this is the term. Because if someone asks you that term, you should be quick to answer it. That is very, very important. Okay. Any questions? All right. Okay. So this was the technical part of things. Okay. The thinking out loud part. Now comes the behavior rounds. Okay. This is another part of core values round. Sometimes HR rounds are merged with behavior rounds where you are asked a behavior question. Like I asked you what kind of complications you have, or let's say if you have a conflict with your teammate, or let's say if you delivered a project and someone else took a credit for you, how do you handle that situation? What should you do? What did you do to make sure that you get the right amount of credit, or you leave the credit at all? See, nobody is here to leave the credit. You are here to get your promotion. You are here to get your increments at the end of the day. So you want to take the right side of credits. But what is the right way to do that? What is the right way to interact with your manager or your HR or whoever you're reaching out to? Okay. So behavior rounds has a very famous strategy called STAR strategy. Okay. You might have heard of this. Okay. The STAR strategy essentially stands for S&T stands for situation and task. Like, what's the situation or what is the task? Okay, what is the task that is given to you in that particular question? You need to break the question, like, based on this situation, okay, this is the situation that has been created, this is how I want to do it, this is how I want to interact with it. Okay, then comes what is the action you take. Okay, now let's say someone took a credit for me, so I cannot just go and beat the shit out of the guy. That is not possible. There is a company, there's a decorum you have to maintain. You need to understand that, okay, you have a proper chain that, you just talk to the person first for kindly that, okay, I was more involved this, please give me a credit for that. If he doesn't listen, then you escalate it to a manager. Then if your manager also favors him, then you escalate to a skip manager, and that is it. Skip is the deadline. Other than that, there is the HR plan. So that is the usual action strategy. And what kind of result you got? Because if you did something, you took an action, there will be a result. Either you got a positive outcome or you got a negative outcome. It cannot be like it got a neutral outcome. You have to be aware about what kind of result you're getting. Okay. And now the last part is the insights. Okay, because in some cases things don't always go right. Things sometimes go wrong as well. And it is important, if you're honest, that shows the skill that you are ready to accept your mistakes and learn from them. So when you provide insights that this is where I did wrong personally, and I realized that I should not be doing it this way, I should be doing it some other way. I should not have spoken to him that way. So that kind of insight when you have on yourself, that shows self-reflection for you. That, okay, you know that if you are doing something wrong, you're ready to accept it, you're ready to correct yourself on those measures. So that is why this is a very famous strategy to answer any behavior questions. And this will always give you good marks, or you can say it will help you clear the interview for sure. Just make sure you're realistic and don't lie too much that it becomes obvious. Okay, I'm repeating lie again and again because this is a very common factor. People lie a lot in interviews, and when they get caught and they are like, oh no, meko to nahi pata tha, you know everything from start. Don't bluff anyone or but yourself. Okay. Okay. So this is, yeah.
Can you give example and how to answer?
Okay, so yeah, all right. So let's take an example for this. Like, let's say if you ask me a question that if you have any conflict with your team member, how do you escalate it or how do you solve that? So here, your situation is what? You have a conflict with your teammate, and now what kind of action you will take? So my personal opinion in general, what I do is I tend to talk to the teammate and just make sure that it is, just maybe a honest mistake that he did. He just maybe skipped my name by any chance. Now in this case, sometimes the follow-up question comes is he even still refuses that, no, I will not add your name. That is when I say that, okay, I'll then probably go and give a nudge to my manager that this has happened, can you please do something about it, because I also worked on it and you can see there is a proof for that. You need to go with proofs. You cannot just blind accuse someone out there, because you might also be not correct, you might also be dishonest about it. So you need to be correct about those. So that is where you say, okay, I'll escalate it to my manager, I'll give him a gentle nudge that, okay, this has happened, maybe a ping on Slack or maybe a face-to-face informal chat. It can be anything. So that is the way you answer this. And in general, in most of the cases, the manager nudge is good enough. The skip nudge is never needed in general. No manager tends to be, partial about things, because he also has a feedback chain. He also has a reporting to do. Because at the year end, he can do whatever he wants throughout the year, but at the year end, we have to also give him a feedback. He knows that if his reportees are not happy, projects will get impacted. So there can be a bit of bias, but it cannot be entirely biased. That is not correct. But sometimes it is always a good thing to take a step down. That shows that, okay, you are not just here for taking the credit out. Okay. Any other questions?
Sir, I'm thinking as a fresher, I want to have a prior experience with police.
So in those scenarios, you will be asked that, assume that. Okay, like it's a hypothetical scenarios for you. Like when we tend to interview freshers as well. So what we do is, like, either your project, because in projects also you can have teams, right? It's not always like you are building a solo project. You build a hackathon project or you build a project in your team. So that in there as well you have conflicts. It is never true that okay, we are a very one and only team where everybody works together and there's no conflict. That is not possible. When you work at technical tasks, there will be conflicts. There will be technical conflicts that okay, I want to use, but he wants to use this. Those kind of conflicts can be there. If you don't have even those, that is also fine. You can just assume a hypothetical situation. How you deal with it? How do you think you should be dealing with that situation? That's all. Okay. Anything else? All right. So yeah, practice like it's final battle. Okay. Now, reason this slide is something very, very important is we tend to practice DSA. We tend to practice system design. We tend to learn concepts. But what happens is we do it in our own timelines. You will take a medium question, you'll do it for 1.5 hours. You'll do it for 2 hours. You'll do it for 1 hour. In an interview, it's just 45 minutes you got. And out of 45, also those last 5 minutes are for your questions to be asked, and the first 5 minutes are for introduction. So you're left with just 35 minutes. 35 minutes is the amount of time you usually get. 35 to 40 minutes is the usual time you get in an interview to solve a problem. It can be lead code medium, it can be lead code hard as well. So if you are not getting yourself prepared, see, I'm not telling you to do it from the start. Day one say I should be able to solve in 40 minutes, otherwise I'll see the solution. That's not the correct way. Initially, it will take time. If you take a lead code hard, it took me 3 days to solve a lead code hard. But I did it at the end because that is when I understand that, okay, this is something, this will be applied in this way, this will be applied in this way. Because when you take some advanced concept, they will take time. It is not going to be that simple out there that, okay, I think about it and 40 minutes I'll be able to solve it. Initial will be difficult, but as you learn more, as you practice more, you should be able to time yourself. Let's say if you believe that you are an expert of, let's say, arrays or stack, then any question that comes around stack, that is only on stack, that is not taking any other concept, it should be solved under 40 minutes. And you should be able to solve it with a working code. I'm not talking about pseudo codes, or I'm not talking about approach. It should be a working code. Okay. Second thing I already told you, talk to yourself. Explain to yourself so that you know whether you are making sense or not. Because you cannot do a mock interview every day. Okay, your friend is also working, or your friend is also learning sometime. Okay, so you cannot have a mock interview every day, but you can speak to yourself every day. That is a good way to make your speaking skills more fluent, and you will become good in technical terms as well. So that way, you will, when you do an actual mock interview, so you will be able to better assess yourself that, okay, this is the part I need to work on. Because if everything is going wrong, that means there is no sense of the mock interview. You need to first work up to it and then take those mocks. Okay. And mock interviews, I would suggest, are very important. Reason being, those give you an actual mindset of what it is going to be like in an interview. Be it virtual or be it face-to-face, doesn't matter. Even if it is virtual, you should be giving it as an actual interview. You should not be like in a time pass mode that, okay, no earphones, people are going behind and left and right. Take an isolated room, sit for yourself for an hour, give the mock interview with due diligence, take the feedback, work on it. Because if you are not taking those interviews seriously, there is no point of it. You're just wasting your time for an hour. There will be no point of it. So that is why there will be a lot of interviews happening here as well, mock interviews. I personally took a lot of mock interviews here as well. Like we earlier had a module system. I'm not too sure about the recent system changes here, but earlier we had a module system where you had to clear an interview to get to the next module. So if you not take the interview seriously, we will not progress you to the next module. Very simple, because we need to ensure that you are serious enough about the course. We need to ensure that you are serious about the placements. So that is very important, that you take things seriously, you practice more. Okay, because what I believe is, let's say if I give you 10 questions, you should come back solving 15. Because DSA is way vast. There are enough questions out there. It can never be true that you solve all the questions on the internet. That is not possible. There are 3,000 questions today on lead code and at least 5,000 on code forces. So if you solve 8,000 problems, I can bet on it you can land any job in DSA for sure. On your own. Okay? Don't assume that I'll just go to solution, copy, paste and wo sab karte hain. Okay? That doesn't make sense. Alright, but I'm not expecting any one of you to solve 8,000 questions. I have solved not more than 1,000 questions in my life. Okay. So it is not like you need to have a big number. You need to have a quality number. You should not be solving just easy problems. Ki sare har ek for loop mein ho jayega. I'll just implement a hash map and I will just implement a simple stack and do it, and I will expect I'll land a job. No, doesn't work. You need to have good mixture of easy, mediums and hards. What I usually told when I was giving lectures is, easy are just to get you used to how the syntax work, how the structure works. Then comes medium. Medium is where there are certain tweaks, there is certain logic that you need to build, there's something problem that you need to solve, and hard is where it gets complicated. Don't expect to solve hard at start, hard gets solved eventually, but medium is something you need to be solving to consider yourself that you have learned this concept. It is true about everything, be it DSA, be it system design or anything. DSA is going to be more difficult because there is a lot of ambiguity there. People can mix and match anything. There is no fixed format for the question. There is no fixed format for the answer. Okay, each question might have 5 answers and all 5 might be correct with the same complexity. So it doesn't matter, you just need to land one of them. But you need to land one of them. If you're not landing any of them, it doesn't make sense. Okay, so that is why you need to practice and practice. It is going to take toll, it is going to take time. It is not going to be an easy journey that you will assume that, okay, 1 month placement starts, okay, 1 month I'll be able to crack DSA. No, not going to happen. Even if you go for a 15 LPA company, 10 LPA company, I'm not talking about packages at all. You need to be fluent. It is going to sound stressful. It is going to take time. But you need to be prepared that, okay, I will put in effort, I will be able to do it. Very simple. Okay, does that make sense? Any questions? See, I'm not trying to scare you out here, okay, but I'm just giving you a reality check at what you are getting into. It is not like a simple journey ki you assume that, okay, there is a science book, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, and I scored 90% and I got through. Doesn't work here. It's an open book, it's an open internet. Okay, there are tons of resources. Learn as much as you want. AccioJob will guide you for sure that, okay, you have a structured curriculum, but you have to work through it. We can teach you, we can make you go through DSA, or anyone can go through, make you go through DSA. There are tons of YouTube tutorials out there. But what happens after YouTube? That is what matters. Do you go home and practice? Do you practice good enough? Do you practice good amount of questions? Do you practice quality questions? Those are very, very important factors that will make or break your DSA learnings. So that is very, very important that you do some quality questions. Okay, don't just go on the LinkedIn and see ki, okay, he has done 1,000 questions, 1,000 is the benchmark. I did 350 questions in my placement and got a very good placement. I got placed in 3 companies back then. So it is not like quantity matters. It is what quality is what matters. If you do 350 mediums and hards, you are good. I can bet on that. If you have done judiciously on your own, understanding every problem, I can bet on that you will be able to crack these. But if you have done that copy paste की lead code में जाओ, discuss में solutions खोलो, fastest कौन सा है उसको submit कर दो and my stats increase, doesn't work. You're just fooling yourself out there. It's not going to help anyone, because I know for a fact now we have AI. I can just copy paste the question, I'll get a code within 2 minutes. But that is not helping you learn, because AI is not going to help you in the interview part of things. Okay. All right. Any questions? Okay. So first, break down the problem. Solving any particular problem, the first things first you always need to do is break down the problem. Like break the problem into parts, try to solve it via brute force solutions. If you get a brute force right, that means now you have understood the question correctly, that what is expected out of it. Okay, because not everyone can land the optimal solution directly. If you can land, that's great. If you cannot land, you should go brute force solution. Then you should discuss what kind of optimization we are looking at. Because if you, let's say, coded n square solution and you have taken n square space, the interviewer might tell you that n square time velocity is fine, but I need O of n space. Because you will think I will have to do it both in O of n time velocity, that I want to do in linear complexity for both of them. But interviewer might be expecting something else from you. So it is important to ask those questions beforehand, because he might simplify your job. He might do it difficult as well. At some point, see, it will be both ways. But sometimes it is assumed that वो तो सबसे difficult ही बोलेंगे. They will assume that we have to do a difficult way, which is incorrect. Sometimes they don't expect that kind of solution from you, because they also know that they have time bound. The question is difficult, so you might be not able to code everything out there. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. See, like when you are learning, okay, this is bound to happen. The point being, you should not be giving up too early. That is what my suggestion will be. If you are just seeing the question for 15-20 minutes and expecting that your solution will come suddenly in your head flying, not gonna happen. because we have problems that are open-ended. There will be problems which have stack and hash map included both. You will not be able to think those through. Okay. My strategy personal is like I have in general 6 to 7 structures in my mind. If it's a linear structure, I know that I can either have stack, linked list, queue, hash map, heap. Okay. Or one or two more structures, set and multi-set, that's it. Apart from that, there are not much structures out there. So I used to think through that, okay, can I apply stack in this? Is a monotonic stack good enough for this? Is linked list going to work for this? Or is hash map going to work for this? Then you look at combinations, because I'm just iterating in my mind 5 structures, 6 structures. That is something you can do it quickly. Once you get a hack of it, you do start doing it quickly. So that is why it is important that you give it time. I'm not saying give it 4 days for one question. At least give an hour for a question. Because when you give an hour, you try to think of scenarios, you try to work it out on a paper. How do I solve this? What is happening in between? What is happening between the lines? How is the output coming out to be this way? So that is why it is important that you try it. And even if, let's say, tomorrow you're not able to solve it, you look at a solution, understand the solution, and just make sure that you keep the question somewhere. Take a look at after the month and try to solve it again. Are you able to solve it? Because after 1 month, if you're doing DSA regular, you have solved at least 100 questions in 30 days. Then you will not remember that solution again. You cannot mug up DSA. You have to understand it. There is no other way out. Mugging up works only in some luck cases, or either you have a brilliant mind where you remember each and everything that you have written. I don't remember it. Okay. So it's just that you have to link it. That is what matters. Because when you solve one medium question, it links or solves 10 other questions for you. So that is the important strategy. That is why I always say that solve one question, but make sure to understand it, what you have done. If you don't understand the problem, if you don't understand your solution, you're just wasting time. Because tomorrow, a very similar question, but with some tweaks will come up, you will again have to think from start. But if you have linked it enough, then you will be able to code much quickly. That is what happens. Like in an interview, you will not get an exact same question 99% of the time, but you will get a linked question. Like instead, as I showed you 3 sum here, so it was equal to 0, it might show you equal to a certain target number. That is a very small tweak. So if you know the flow of the code, then you will be able to do it very quickly. Okay. Any other questions? All right. Now, see, this is something that is on your social side of things. Okay. Not technical, not behavior, not the way you speak or anything. How social are you? Okay. And if you're not social, okay, some people are introvert, that is fine. Connect with your seniors. Okay. Referrals beat resumes any day without any question. If you are aiming for any big tech company, if you don't have a referral, your chances gets cut down very easily. Okay. And I believe almost everyone of has some contacts, because these companies are not small. If you are looking at big tech companies, they have plenty of people in India. So even if you connect with 2-3 folks who can give you a referral, that will help you a long way. And these connections cannot be built overnight. Okay. You start connecting with people, like don't just go and connect with random folks. Okay. Like I cannot come and connect with you if I don't know you. If you have the same college, or if you have worked in the same company, then I can connect with you. Or if I know as some personal connection, whatever it is, then I can connect with you. Because then people tend to accept and respond as well. Because then you have a personal connection or some professional experience there. But if you don't have a professional or personal experience there, people will tend to ignore it. Okay. That is a normal human nature, that he will not have the urgency to put in your referral. He will have the urgency only if he knows you. So it is important to create that kind of connect properly. Just putting in random connect is not going to help, because even if you put a message to him, he is not going to reply. There is a good chance that he will not reply. And if you are messaging someone random, make sure to message in a structured format where you are delivering the message that what do you want from the guy. Very simple. Nobody is here to do time pass or some chat or share memes out there. We have to be very professional about it. If you are going to put some time pass, good morning sir, hey, I wanted referral, nobody cares, man. Okay. Everybody gets requests, nobody cares. If you put in a meaningful message, you will get accepted, you will be able to get the referral for sure. Okay. But it is always better to go on your college side or something where you have some kind of connection with the person. Because That way you have a little bit on the personal side, so that will give you a nudge that you can probably he will probably do it for you very easily. So that is the most important part. Okay. All right. And some referrals might not land. Okay, let me clarify this. A referral doesn't mean an interview is guaranteed. If you are under that myth that I got a referral, so I will definitely get an interview, it is not true. Even with referrals, people get rejected. I also got rejected. Many get rejected. It is not any or even 1% true that a referral will land you the interview. But it improves chance by a lot of persons, because then a recruiter definitely takes a look at your resume. If your ATS score is even a little decent, he will take a look at your resume. It will earn you that resume look in general, unless you apply too late. Okay. One more tip I usually give people is apply on the openings that are most recent. Like probably in the last 12 hours something opened up, or probably in the last 24 hours opened up. If you are applying off campus, make sure to apply on those openings, because those are far more relevant. They have been opened recently, so that means they're still hiring. If you apply on a post that is 30 days back, they might have already people in loop. So even if you take a referral out there, it might not land you an interview because the post is filled. So it is not your fault. It is just the timing of the application that is that fault. Okay. All right. This I think I already cleared. Okay. I'll just state it again. Okay. Make sure to grind. Okay. If you're not grinding enough, don't expect. Okay. I used to grind 14 hours a day for DSA. 12 to 14 hours I have put in for 3 continuous months. Then I got, and before that I was already doing 12 months of coding. But then also I had to put 12 to 14 hours in DSA. Then only I got placed. So it is not an easy journey. Okay. I didn't had a guided learning back then. I used to explore, I used to learn, I used to put in my head down and start coding. It's very simple. Okay. I was from a good college. I got plenty of good opportunities. That was my luck, I would say. But you need to capitalize on what you got. People will give you opportunities. People will get you interviews. But if you can't capitalize on those, that is on you. That is not on anyone else. That is not on AccioJob. That is not on any other company. That is up to you. If you're getting interviews and if you're not cracking them, if you're not converting them, that is at fault. Because out of 1,000, you might get 1 or 2 interviews. Take that ratio in mind. Now, if out of those 2 interviews, if you start merging up, or if you start, throwing away the interviews, that is it. And you are done. So you need to be prepared. You need to grind more. You need to be relevant. That okay, what I personally do is, let's say if I'm giving an interview for a company, I look at the process. What kind of questions are they asking? What kind of topics are frequent? Because that gives you a nudge that okay, Amazon has trees, Google has graphs, whatever it is. I'm not talking that these companies are these things. Okay, don't come back to me saying they don't know. But yeah, this is a general overview. You will find plenty of interview experience out there. You have blind, you have lead code. Okay, there are plenty of available, and you will get. And if you're lucky, you might get a similar question. That is your luck, because you did your research. It is not cheating. It is your luck that you did the research what is asked. So it is important that you are informed. But before going there, first things first, grind. Work hard, it will get you results. It is not like it is not possible because sir हमारा college खराब है या हमारी CGPA खराब है. Those are all reasons that you can convince yourself कि हाँ हमसे नहीं हो पा रहा है. ठीक है? If you want to do it, you will have to do it, and you will have to put in hours. Because if you have a lower CGPA, you have to put 2 hours extra. Simple as that. Being very frank out there, because I didn't had an extravagant CGPA back then. So whatever I had, I didn't had a very big company on my resume. But whatever I got, I had to convert those. I didn't get placed on my day 1, I got placed on day 2. Simple. But whatever you're getting, you need to maximize on those. If you're not maximizing, if you're not capitalizing on the opportunities, then you are at fault. Then you cannot come and blame someone कि उन्होंने और नहीं दी opportunities. Whatever you got, you have to maximize. And I believe there are plenty if you have the right skill set and if you're ready to grind. So you will have to do that. There is no backdoor entry into this. Okay? Not trying to scare you, but please get scared a bit. Honest opinion. Okay? I don't want any of you to waste your time and get mentally stressed at some point कि कुछ हो ही नहीं रहा है. Because कुछ नहीं हो रहा है because we are not putting in enough effort. Okay, it strikes, it takes time. If you are not good at DSA, you will get good at DSA eventually. It is not going to be a 1 day, 1 week, 1 month journey. It took me 7 months to master DSA. and I still not consider myself as a master. मेरे को आज भी कोई अगर let's say a person asks me DP or segmentary, I get fumbled a bit, but still I'm able to get through it because I know what I've done. But if you are not on that stage, you need to get there. It will take time. Okay, pick one language, do questions as many as possible. I'm not going to say platform ki lead code pe karo, code forces pe karo, code share pe karo. There are plenty of platforms, but make sure you do a quality questions. Ki don't do questions where you just write a for loop and an if condition and say ki, oh, I did one question, I did 10 questions. Doesn't make sense. You're fooling yourself at the end of the day. Okay, all right. So yeah, that is it, I guess. Sorry guys if I offended someone. Okay, nothing to offend you or trying to scare you, but just giving a reality check out here. Okay, make sure if you have any questions, you are free to ask me now. Okay, it's forum for open for 10 minutes. Vipin, how much time we have? 10 minutes. Okay, see, it's already 5:25, so I will not hold you long. It's a Sunday for everyone. Okay, it's my Sunday as well, so we'll keep a short Q&A for 10 minutes and then we can wind up. Okay, all right. Yep. No questions. People got scared a lot, I guess. Then
How the question I have to solve for one? Because I started high. I have to solve how many questions? To start next.
okay, all right. To give you a quick context, there is no fixed number to this. Okay, the time when you start feeling confident on a medium problem, that is what I said earlier, that if you are able to time bound yourself to 40 minutes and solve a medium problem on a topic, that means you're good in that. Like if you're able to solve, let's say, 5 problems continuously in 40 minutes continuously on a medium stage, that means you're good in the topic. You will move to next. That stage might come early in array, might come early in stack, and might come quite late in graph, because the topic difficulties are different as well. So there's not going to be a fixed number that okay, you do 10 medium problems and you're done. No, that doesn't work. Anything else? All right, Vipin, over to you. Let's wind it up then.
Yeah. Thank you, Abhijeet, for the wonderful masterclass. Even I am from an MBA background, I'm able to understand some of the things. And it's like we used to conduct many trials in here. So I understood the skill importance. Even how much ever I push, like you people have to do your part. You need to work on your skills. How much ever openings we are coming with, I am not able to fulfill the number of openings. Seriously, I will tell you. And like how much ever drive, for example, today also there was a drive. We have conducted for ThoughtWorks. Package is 11 lakh. Still, I am not able to get the best students where I can send to the ThoughtWorks and HR can start the process. Still, the opportunities are there. So, guys, yeah. Yeah. So, guys, be alert. Okay. You guys are came here to learn something, and Abhijeet here is well qualified to give this insight. What is happening in the top tech companies? Okay. So prepare for the same. I am wishing you people. I will be able to see you people in some of the top tech companies, the product-based companies, not service-based companies. Product-based companies with a higher package. So, and one more time, I would like to thank you, Abhijeet, to give this time. Sunday came to all the way to our center and give this. And I would like to call Sohil. He's a regional manager. He will give a small commentary to Abhijeet. Uh, so this is a small member from our end. Please accept it. And going onwards, also please come to our center and give some good session to the parents. Guys, like Akshay, that was. Just be here. If you have any doubts regarding anything, and even we are starting the Super 30 batch also, any doubts regarding how the process, how you can enroll, we are here. You can come to us. You don't need to hesitate anything. We won't judge you in any of the matters. We are here to help you. Okay, the main role for me as given by AccioJob is give the good guidance to the students who are coming to you. Rest, they can take their own decisions. You will just guide them where they need to be and clear the doubts, how much ever I can. Okay. Thank you guys. Thank you for the session. Thank you for the master class. 1 minute. Like actually, my teammates will distribute to some other like drinks. They're not like don't take it as a hot drinks, soft drinks. And we are providing. We cannot provide soft drinks, you know. So kindly stay in your seat. He will provide the same. Thank you guys for coming here all the way and attending this class.
That's a disclaimer. That was bad.